Hey, this is Pete with the Pickle Home Companion podcast, and you're listening to The Rumors Are True with my boy Jeremy Allen Gould. This promo was recorded on an Android phone.
Welcome, this is Jeremy Allen Gould, and I'm coming to you today to confirm between God and of man that the rumors you have all heard are true. I started this podcast to have a platform for the bands and artists that I've worked with in the past, as well as new musicians and artists that influenced myself and many others. The Rumors Are True podcast is an opportunity for the artists to tell their story their way. I'm still in the business of confirming rumors. I still love a good conversation, and I still freaking love music. So thanks again for joining me on this journey, and I hope you like what you hear. With that said, the rumors are definitely true. Hey, thank you for tuning into this latest episode of the Rumors Are True podcast. My name is Jeremy, and today I welcome Kevin Schlereth. You know Kevin from the Audiofeed Festival. This is a upcoming festival on July 3rd through the 6th in Urbana, Illinois. Awesome lineup. It's amazing to hear Kevin's perspective on putting this lineup together, as well as his past with the festival and over the years, kind of what he's dealt with. So I hope you enjoy this latest episode with Kevin Schlereth.
It makes us happy when we have it. It puts a smile on my face.
Kevin, what's up, my friend? Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. Awesome. What's going on in your world right now? What's current?
Yeah, well, currently I'm on the West Coast recording a new album and
cool.
Working on audio feed stuff in the spare moments.
Nice. Where are you recording at?
I am in Medford, Oregon, just at a friend's home studio.
That's awesome, man. Is it full length or EP?
9 songs. I don't know what people call that anymore.
Yeah. I get that. I totally get that. That's awesome, man. Well, let's kind of tell me about your musical journey here while we're on it. What inspired that, and kind of bring me through how you've been involved in that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been interested in music, playing music my whole adult life. I kind of came to music a little bit late and started playing, in high school, and just have been a full-time touring musician for the last 14 years, I think. Playing a lot of living room concerts. And I got involved with, played at one of the last 2 Cornerstones, and then that kind of spun me into getting involved with Audiofeed.
Okay. Very cool. Well, speaking of, let's talk about growing up for you, man. What were some of those bands, some of those records, those influences that kind of pushed you in the direction to want to be in music in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I think that it's one of those things that probably has evolved a little bit over time. But I think um, the first, well, the first music that I owned that I asked for, it's kind of embarrassing, was the Naughty by Nature.
Oh, I love them. Amazing.
um, and yeah, and
OPP.
then that's right. Eventually, though, got into like the grunge bands and all that stuff. I think my first real concert was Foo Fighters.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't really, I was at this time, like high school, I lived in a pretty small town in Missouri and didn't really know that music smaller than that existed. Like Foo
Yeah.
Fighters were like, underground to me.
Yeah.
um, and actually got into sort of, I think I saw songs from the Penalty Box 2, an old Tooth and Nail sampler, somehow. And that opened up a whole new world. And probably my favorite band from that time was probably Blindside.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got to see them at Furnace Fest last year. It was the first
Yeah, they
time
were
in a
great.
long time.
Yeah.
So good, yeah. And that kind of music really, I would say that if when I first started playing music, I wished I was in a band that sounded like Blindside. Um, yeah, from there I kind of shifted more into, and I really like the band Jimmy Eat World, the Get
Great
Up
band.
Kids, stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, and that's kind of where we are today.
That's awesome, man. Where'd you grow up in Missouri?
So I grew up in St. Louis, and then high school I was in Owensville, Missouri.
Where's that there?
It's like hour and a half from St. Louis,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
just middle of nowhere.
I gotcha. I lived in Springfield, Missouri for a little bit.
Oh,
So I was
cool,
curious. Well, actually, real quick, back onto your solo stuff. What all have you put out? Have you full lengths, EPs? What?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm on like record number 8 or something at this
Holy
point.
cow, dude!
I don't know. It's I don't yeah, but I feel like I really came into my own around 2017. The last 3 or 4 records I think are the music that I'm really wanting to make. So
Sure. I get that, man. Awesome, man. Well, let's talk about Audiofeed.
yeah,
Yeah, exciting festival that is in what city is it in?
we're in Champaign Urbana, Illinois.
Okay, Urbana. Yeah, and I knew it was in Illinois. I just couldn't remember where. Let's talk about the beginning of Audiofeed and kind of your role in the beginning of that.
Yeah, so I didn't have much a role in the beginning. If you're familiar with Cornerstone Festival, you probably remember that there was, when they sort of announced that it was ending, there was like a lot of sadness and a lot of expressed. Um, it was sort of the time in the internet of Occupy Wall Street. And I remember there was an Occupy Cornerstone Facebook group or something like that. And,
That's funny.
people are like, oh, we're going to the farm anyway. And like, we're just going to show up. And the organizers were like, please don't do that. We sold that farm. You might be shot. Just don't go. And anyway, this kind of small group of fans of Cornerstone, people that had really loved being there, but had no involvement with organizing it. They started Audiofeed as just sort of a, hey, if people are looking for a place to go, we're gonna, get some bands together and do something over in Urbana. And I think that first year they ended up with, I don't know, 60 or 70 bands, and it sounded like a good time. I personally didn't go. I was kind of being immature, maybe. I felt a little slighted that I didn't get asked to play.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't show up. And then I kind of decided that was dumb, and came just as an attendee in the second year. I think I was selling merch for the Destroy Nate Allen, if you're familiar with them.
Oh yeah, I know him.
Yeah, so I like came and sold merch for some friends for a few years, and then I think in year 4 they asked me to play, and I thought that was really kind.
Yeah.
And yeah, so then I eventually worked. I've played every year since that 4th one, and I think this will be the 11th. And yeah, I volunteered a few years, and then 3 years ago, the team that had been putting it on, they were just they had done it for almost 10 years, and were kind of feeling tired and wanted to be done with it, and
Yeah.
they were like, "Hey, we're happy to kind of hand it off if someone wants to try to keep it going, and if not, we'll let it end." And yeah, somehow I ended up in the conversation to see who might keep it going, and I don't know. They decided that they wanted to hand the keys to me, and I kind of built a team around the idea of keeping it going, and distilling sort of what the festival had meant to so many of us.
Yeah.
And yeah, trying to keep that spirit alive.
What was that like taking it over? Did you feel a lot of pressure? Did you feel
Oh,
overwhelmed?
well, throughout the process, my wife and I we kept saying to one another, like, man, we would do anything to help whoever does this, as long as it's not us.
Oh my.
I didn't really, yeah, I was like, it didn't feel like something I could afford to take on in my life. And I was like, yeah, I really want to support that person, but it didn't really seem like that person existed. And so I was like, I guess it's important enough to me that it keeps going, that I have looked for ways to rearrange my life
Yeah, absolutely.
around making it happen. Because it has been such a gift to me over the years. And
Yeah.
I want that for other people.
Well, when you took over, what was your initial vision, and kind of how's that vision changed over the time that you've had it?
Yeah, I don't think it's changed much. But yeah, I think one of the hard things with Audiofeed to me is that it's always been a little bit amorphous. It's like, what is this about? And it's like, is it Christian? Is it not Christian? It's sort of always like straddled this weird place of being unclear what it was, and yet in whatever it is has been something that's been incredibly valuable to people that are Christian and are not Christian, and so I think my big sort of push at the beginning was, let's try to take a stab at putting into writing what has made this feel valuable to us, as most of my team are people that have been performers, and so we've come to this festival time and time again, and it's been this place where we have really enjoyed sharing our art and enjoyed just existing as people. And so we wanted to put words to that, and that was tricky because then you have to sort of share those words with people, and they can form opinions on them, which is probably maybe why it was intentionally vague in the past. But it's been, a challenge that I don't think we've perfected yet. But it is our desire to sort of, we just don't want we don't want people to feel sort of baited and switched when they show up at the festival. And we also, I believe that sort of the ethos of Audiofeed is actually what makes it appealing to a random person that might be considering going. And I think if we can communicate that successfully, we kind of find the right people that are going to be motivated to sort of travel for the fest and check it out.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
What's your process like for curating the lineup? I know it's kind of been all over the map in a good way the last couple of years. What's your process with that?
Yeah, so we sort of our booking process is a little decentralized. Each of our stages functions autonomously, but under kind of the general direction of booking talent that sort of speaks to the vision of the fest, which is essentially just to create conversation around Jesus that sort of welcomes and invites people that from all differing viewpoints. And so, I think what I say to the team a lot is a good litmus test for a band is if they're, conversation starters versus conversation enders. I don't think it serves the festival very well to bring in someone that's sort of like has a kind of shutdown type personality in their art. And so we try to avoid that. But yeah, we're looking for people that have sort of existed in this Christian or Christian adjacent space that have something to say and that welcome genuine conversation. And honestly, artists that that welcome fan interactions. I think that's a lot of what makes Audiofeed a unique place. Is it's not a lot of there's not a great divide between us and them. It's people that really want to interact on a human level with other people.
Yeah. What's one part of organizing a festival that people don't often see or appreciate, you think?
I think that's a great question. Sometimes it feels like people don't see or appreciate many of the, the things that go into it. I think there's a few points. One surprising thing to me is that there are people that assume that we're being paid or getting money.
I've been a promoter, I know.
Yeah. So that's just bewildering, I guess. But, there's just some of the things that I didn't realize I would be dealing with, in year 3, just like running things on an infrastructure level. I kind of assumed that it would get easy. That, okay, well, we order the tents from this company and we're just going to do that next year and nothing will change. But every year something changes. And I feel like there's all of the sort of behind the scenes infrastructure level stuff. Just, I don't know that people really stop and think, oh, somebody like had to order those roll off dumpsters. That sort of thing.
No, totally. Absolutely, man. I definitely can relate. Like I said, booking shows. It's like, a lot of people like to spout off about what they would want or how they would want it, but I don't see a lot of people doing that. So definitely can relate to putting a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and hard work into something, and someone just being like, I could do better.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous, actually. Have there been any chaotic moments or disasters over the years, or the last couple years that you've had, where that you've really had to overcome it, and maybe you just kind of bring me through some of that?
Yeah, the comic chaos last year. We had we have camping at the festival, and there are some bathroom structures as well as porta potties, and there was a sewage line from from the small bathroom structure that kind of erupted. So I didn't know that initially. I arrived on the scene to see I don't know, 20 gallons of poop just on the side of the road, essentially. And my first thought was that somebody was just dumped out their RV sewage on us. We hate Audiofeed. But so me and another volunteer. This is another thing people don't understand probably. We scooped up all these gallons of poop
That sounds amazing.
And that's when when we got to the bottom of it, we found out that this sort of sewage line had just kind of exploded.
Oh
And
my.
so, yeah, that didn't expect to have that occupy my, whatever Friday at the fest last year. But yeah, that was that was the most
That's
chaotic, I would say.
a buzzkill.
Yeah,
Man, that sucks. Well, I mean, hey, at least you overcame it, I guess.
yeah, yeah,
Um, how do you stay motivated every year to want to continue to do this? I know you just took over a couple years ago, but
yeah.
what's the
Um,
motivation like?
yeah, I mean, for me, it's just that I think it's a really important thing that I don't see happening um, much anywhere else, I guess. And it's something that really I resonate with, I guess, as an individual and a performer. I don't think there's enough uh, things that um, invite religious conversation but feel like a third space. Um, and Audiofeed is like one of the only large scale events that I would classify and probably the only that I would classify in that way. Um, and I just think that's invaluable. To giving uh, you know being a place of welcome for people that maybe that I mean that are we're super Christian, but then also people that are like, yeah, I grew up in that, but I don't believe that stuff anymore.
Sure.
A lot of times when you deconvert or you 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 don't just lose your faith, you lose like all your friends because
Mm,
and I think like I love that audio feed is a place where kind of deconverted people feel like they can exist and be in around something that's comfortable to them,
sure.
um, and yet not feel like they need to pretend to be someone they're not. And yeah, and I think that's just so valuable to me. And like I said, I don't think I don't think we're very trained in church culture or in society um, to just engage across differences.
Hmm.
I think we live in a world that, like we can't be friends if we don't agree about
Hmm.
pineapple on pizza. Um, and
Yeah.
yeah, so I think this is just such a valuable space, and it's something that I, hope to create in my like individual life as well. And I've just seen so much value from it, both like as a Christian that wants to share the message of Jesus, but then also as a human that has like learned a lot from people that um, that don't subscribe to my belief system.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. That's a great answer. Um, each year since you've taken over, have you seen the turnouts increase? What's
Very
that been like?
minorly. Yeah, so Audio Feed has never been a huge festival, but it was its biggest in probably 2018, 19.
Hmm.
Um, and then there were a few years off uh, with the pandemic, and those were awkward years too, where the fest was, um, it was like postponed, and then canceled again, and they were trying to make it happen. Um, anyway, finally, when 2022 came around, they finally got to have the fest again, and it was dramatically smaller.
Mm.
Um, and so we've been growing from that point, but we're still not near the highs.
Are you expecting a pretty decent turnout this year?
We expect to grow a little bit more. it's
Yeah.
not it's not a huge festival. I think we have somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1,000 people that pass through the gates
Yeah.
um, throughout the course of the 4 days. Um, yeah,
Well, Rome wasn't built in a day,
that's
so
right.
I will
Yeah,
say that. Bring me through some of the highlights of some of the past guests that you've had over the years. Maybe some ones that maybe just that stick out in your mind. Yeah,
Yeah. I think the sort of quintessential audio feed headliner trio from a few years ago. I think John Mark McMillan, Dave Bazan, and Impending Doom.
wow,
I feel like that just tells you what audio feed is.
that's a great list there.
It's just so wildly crazy.
Yeah,
um, yeah, and yeah, we were last year we had Citizens, and this year, I'm really excited. We have Blaster the Rocket Man and Officer Negative, kind of throwback reunion
nostalgia
style
bands. Yeah,
acts. We have King's X coming, which
yeah,
is
that's so cool.
incredible, and yeah, we're very excited for that. Those they just put on such a great show, and yeah, and we're just really happy
What
to
was
have
that
them.
like getting them?
It's been a journey. This is one of the challenges of taking over something, is that there are areas that sort of work has been done that you're stepping in mid conversation, and this is one of those. I think the previous team lead, I think like his, King's X was his like white whale band. He just like, this is the band he wanted to get to the fest. But they've got trepidation around playing things that are associated with
Sure.
Christianity. And so, yeah, he had ongoing conversations with them in the past, and partly, um, I, I jumping into that conversation midstream made it more challenging because I wasn't sure what had and hadn't been sort of talked through and worked through. But yeah, so there were challenges to it, but we got it all worked out. It seems like they're excited to be coming. We're excited to have them.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah, that'll be a totally unique experience.
Absolutely, I totally agree with that. What's some other bands from this year that you're excited about? I know you got my boys, the Myriad, playing.
Yeah, that's
Love
another
those guys.
one that we're very excited for, that we didn't think would be possible. It's kind of funny because we really we actively don't want to be kind of a nostalgia based fest.
Sure.
And yet it just sort of like, that's kind of the way our lineup broke down this year, especially kind of at the headliner level. We have Bloodline Calligraphy. Yeah, so a lot of those kind of nostalgia acts. I'm really excited for E-Ray. Those are some of our good friends, and
cool.
It seems like they're like having a moment now.
Yeah,
and,
they are. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is great. They've been great forever. They played last year, and probably no one even noticed their name on the list. I mean, anyone that saw them there noticed. And they were definitely a fan favorite last year. This year, I expect that they will, bring some people out on their own. Idle Threat, we love those guys as well.
Yeah.
One of my sort of, as like an acoustic based artist, I think I'm intimately aware of this whole world of artists that are kind of living in the audio feed space, that hadn't been tied into the fest in the past. And so this year, the last few years, we've had John Van Dusen.
Oh, nice. He's great.
Yeah, and he's a great audio feed artist. I think he exists in the space so well, and yeah, we love having him. We have Taylor Leonard. If you're familiar with her,
I don't think I've heard of her.
She's excellent. Do you know Jess Ray?
I don't.
Okay. No, well, then I will
Maybe I
not
should
keep
though.
trying to name names. Um,
No, you're good.
um,
I mean, it's a world
yeah, yeah.
I've heard the name. I just don't know
Sure, yeah.
much
She's
about
just
it.
a great songwriter. So we've
That's
got some
awesome.
really good kind of songwriter types. I'm excited this year. So John is sort of headlining a a night that's connected with Porchlight, which is like a
Okay.
house show network.
Yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah.
That's um, that's all about sort of hospitality, right?
Hmm.
And so they're kind of doing a whole morning of sessions um, around hospitality, uh, and then this sort of evening of concerts that'll have like people like John, make sure Chase Tremaine, if you know him.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, so those are just some of the things I'm excited about. There's got to be tons more. I'm excited that we have Glenn Kaiser band this
Oh
year.
yeah, that's amazing.
Glenn's always been Glenn's at the fest every year. We have him solo most of the time, but it's fun every now and again to get the band. So yeah, we're excited. I'm excited for all of that. I think it's going to be a really great year. Probably the thing that has me most excited, I guess, just year over year. Like um, last year, interacting with so many of the people
Mm.
who it was their second time coming, and they were just like um, floored by the number of people that like remembered them and like wanted to like catch up with them. And I just think like we are cultivating some like just this really special community of people that care about
Yeah.
each other. And I think yeah, it's exciting to think about people coming from wherever they are in the country, whatever's going on in their life, and just uh, yeah, being welcomed into this uh, weekend where hopefully you feel yeah, like invited to just
Yeah.
like connect with people. We had a kind of cool story from last year. This guy. He came and he normally goes to Riot Fest, so he'd been to like
Oh yeah.
a bunch of Riot Fests, and he's like, I go every year. There's like 10,000 people there, whatever it is. And he's like, this is the first time I've been to a fest and like made a friend,
That's cool.
And I was like, yeah, that's what we're about. That's sweet.
That is really cool, man. I love that. I was going to say, like, my next question was like, is there any surprising or emotional moments? And it sounds like you're kind of alluding to some of those moments that kind of obviously make it worth it for you and make it for worth it for people going. But is there anything in particular, like maybe a performance or something that was just something that just really melted your heart? I guess is the best way to say it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, there's been a bunch. I'm an emotional guy. um, I'd say the two that jumped to the front of my mind from the last couple of years. We had some behind the scenes issues last year that made it so that we were behind on one of our stages,
Mm.
and John Van Dusen was just really sweet and like, I'll just cut my set short and so that we could get the next band on closer to on time. But he also then just like said, "Hey, I'm gonna just play while they're setting up. I'll play for 20 minutes out in the parking
Oh, that's
lot."
cool.
So he brought my acoustic guitar out there, and yeah, just had like, I don't know,
Impromptu.
maybe like 100 people sitting around him, totally unplugged, out in the near the parking lot, um, and it was just a beautiful moment.
That's
You
awesome,
could
man.
just see it in the people's faces that it's like this is going to be the thing that they remember from this year.
Yeah.
Um, and then we've had Rosie Thomas.
Oh, she's so good.
Oh yes, incredible. And um, yeah, I just, I'm not a mother, but I just wept for an hour
I believe it.
listening to her kind of reflect on uh, life lessons and uh, you know, maternal guilt and things like that. And um, wow, yeah, just an incredible human being. And yeah, I just am so thankful for what she's doing and that we got to experience at Audiofeed a couple times.
Dude, that's awesome. I love that. She's incredible. I'm a big fan of hers.
Yeah.
Hey, how do you hope to grow or evolve the festival maybe in the coming years?
That's a great question. I feel like uh, in my mind, we're just like a few steps away from kind of firing on all cylinders,
Mm,
realizing the current vision. And so I hope that in the coming years we kind of get there. One of the things, specifically around growing the festival, I think is figuring out how to communicate our message
hmm
to who to communicate it to, and how to do that when you know that it's sort of a complicated messaging that and the internet is not built for complicated things.
That's true.
um, and so we're still hoping to where I think that's a lot of it, like hoping to really figure that out, like where are the people, it's this is not like a I don't know, it's not like, hey, we just need to hit up the youth groups, tell them about audio feed, like,
Yeah.
that's not what we are.
It's
I
not your
mean,
bag, baby.
it's like
Yeah.
they'd be welcome. But I suspect that not a lot of churches would send their youth group. Um, but yeah, so like I think getting better at finding our people and saying what we are, and then
hmm
uh, looking at ways to really lean into the identity of the festival as it relates to the programming. So like even this year, where last year we had 4 stages and 130 bands. This year we're doing, 3 stages and 95 bands, partially uh, to make good on what we're saying, that we want to create space for conversation.
hmm
And so dedicating what was like a music space to a space for people just to sit together and, you know,
Yeah.
get coffee and chat and stuff like
I
that.
love that.
Share a meal together, that sort of thing. Um, and I hope that we find more ways to do that. And also, we're silly people, so this year I think we're trying to organize a hobby horse race because we have a perfectly sufficient, you know, dirt track, um, that just is meant to race on, and so we're
That's
inviting
cool.
people to bring and build hobby horses. Um, it's sort of like, does that make us seem like a homeschool festival? Maybe. Um, but
Hey, you gotta
hey,
have fun somehow.
well, yeah, that's us. But yeah, I think just looking for ways to make things uh, fun and invite people to really connect with one another.
Yeah.
And we think music's a great catalyst for that, but we want to create other spaces at the fest that allow people to do that. We recently, just last year, we started doing it like a visual art
Oh, cool.
area, where, yeah, again, it's like the goal is not just artists hawking their wares, but people that like are willing to talk process and engage with people.
hmm
Um, and we're building on that this year, hoping to incorporate some uh, like activity sessions around art making and stuff like that. But
That's cool. I love that, man.
yeah.
Well, I know you mentioned the former person who was doing it, wanting King's X, but why don't you tell me some dream artists that you want?
Oh, that is a great question. I mean, I feel like I'm already living my dreams. um, yeah, I think that there definitely have been artists that I think would be um, there's like would be good gets for the festival based on um, being just interesting. Like I think it would. I think it would have been, and maybe still in the future would be great to have Kristen Michael Hayter. I, you know, selfishly would love to see from Indian Lakes or something like that. And, I think one that if I'll just be candid, one that irked me is that Furnace Fest was able to get Holy Name before we could. I think that was like, that would be perfect for us. And obligatory the Chariot reference.
That's awesome, though. I mean, that's cool that you've gotten dreams and aspirations for this to be bigger and be able to maybe open doors for you in terms of what you're wanting to create and have a space for people. But it's cool that anything's possible, I guess, if you have the right things in line, and of course it's something that appeals to a ton of people. So
yeah,
I mean, I could see you getting Holy Name soon. I don't,
oh yeah,
I can
yeah,
see that,
yeah. I'm sure we could.
That's awesome, man. That's exciting. What advice would you give to someone that maybe wants to start their own festival?
Good question.
Don't do it.
Yeah. As someone that has never felt that, yeah, no, I mean, I think to me, I think whatever it is you're doing, I think starting with the question of, like, why does it need to exist? And why do I want to be the person that causes it to exist? I think that's the primary thing, whatever it is that you're doing. Because I think that if you don't have that kind of touchstone to come back to, I think there's just too many pitfalls along the way that, you probably won't see it to fruition. And
I get that.
Yeah. And I don't know if this is good advice, but we definitely operate in a way that is sort of zero debt.
That's a smart way.
Yeah. I mean, there have been examples, I won't name any of them, of people and festivals that, shot for the moon and thought, if we build it, they will come, and then they didn't come, and there was a lot of fallout on the other side of that. And so I think that is maybe it might be bad advice. I'm not a business person, but
yeah, man,
it's definitely an advice for my comfortability.
Absolutely, man. I totally can relate to that. How do you think you've grown? By obviously taking over the reins, what ways have you grown as a person, from being in this position?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have learned things that I didn't know anything about, and so I think I've gained kind of a knowledge base in terms of like what it's like to operate a nonprofit and to do these sort of logistical things around the festival. I hope that I am learning to communicate better. Being a solo musician for the better part of the last 14 years, I'm as DIY as they get. I book all my own stuff. I write all my own stuff. I play all these shows. Like everything is very much, there's just not a lot of communication that needs to happen around ideas. And so getting into the festival, the team environment, I hope that I'm learning to sort of work well with others and just not have that I have to do everything myself mentality. Sure. It's definitely been stretching because that's just the way that I've operated. It's easier to do it myself.
No, I totally get it, man. I absolutely know what you're saying. All right, well, let me know the details. Let's bring me through the socials, bring me through the weekend, the information that people who are interested in going need to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'd love to have any and everyone that is interested. And Audio Feed is July 3rd through the 6th in Urbana, Illinois. It's $100 for the whole thing, which is incredible. And you can camp for free on site. Kids 11 and under are free. It's great for the whole family. We've got a dedicated stage / area specifically for the kids. You can find out more at audiofeedfestival.com. And there's a ticket link there. And then Audiofeed Fest on socials, I guess. I think.
Yeah.
Definitely on Instagram.
Yeah. Why don't you plug your music as well?
Oh yeah, and please check out Kevin Schlereth. If you can spell it, you can find it. I dominate Google searches for Kevin Schlereth.
I bet.
That was why I named myself this. And yeah, I play shows all the time. I'm touring on the West Coast right now / recording an album, and I'll be touring on the East Coast September through December. Yeah, new album coming out. We'll say in the fall.
All right, fair enough. Awesome, man. Well, I know you can't predict the future, but what do you think the future looks like for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it probably looks like more of the same. Getting to in my daily life, share these songs with people in living rooms mostly, and kind of plugging away at Audiofeed and seeing Audiofeed. My hope for Audiofeed is to grow a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't need it to become 10,000 people, but another 1,000 people, I think we can accommodate. There's room, plenty of room for you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Awesome, Kevin. Well, I really appreciate you hanging out with me and kind of talking me through Audiofeed. I know I've seen it over the years, and it looks really cool, and I'm glad that you guys are growing, and I think the lineup this year is fantastic. Of course, the last couple years has looked great as well, and I wish it was a little closer. I definitely would be heading out there myself, but I definitely am excited for you. I'm pumped for you, and yeah, I'm glad that you guys have a good thing going, and at some point I hope it continues to grow, and you guys can not only make this something that's special for yourselves and others, but it's something that people will remember. Hey, thank you, listener, for tuning in again and again. I really appreciate it. It's been an honor to be on this ride with you guys, so thank you for that. If you'd like to add me on Instagram and Facebook at The Rumors Are True Cast, if you'd like to like and subscribe, you know the drill. Thank you to Kevin Schlereth and the Audiofeed crew. Really appreciate your time telling me kind of the ins and outs of putting a festival together, and I really appreciate the conversation. It's really cool. If you're interested in that, Audiofeed is a festival in Urbana, Illinois, July 3rd through 6th. They have a website at audiofeedfestival.com. If you're interested, they also have Instagram and Facebook as well. So thank you again to the Audiofeed people and Kevin. Got some incredible artists on the horizon, guys, and you know it. Nostalgia is still a heck of a drug. The podcast is produced by Wesley Hill, artwork by Jared Chase Bowser, and music by Brian Jaron. This episode is dedicated to the memory of my dear friend, producer, and man of many talents, Brian Jaron.